we're very pleased to launch the Youth in Schools Forum for today. It's a collaborative event between MaSP and SMP, that's the Scotland Malawi Partnership, and the Malawi Scotland Partnership. And it is, I believe, the third in a series of collaborative digital events that we have done as part of our Youth and Schools work together. So a very warm welcome to you. And one of the most special things about these events is the fact that we are taking advantage of this fantastic new digital space that we find ourselves in, that the pandemic has interestingly pushed us towards if we explore new ways of working together. And so we have teachers, educators, NGOs, young people from all over Scotland and Malawi and further afield in the room today, which is hugely exciting. We've got a whole host of really interesting speakers coming up, not least to mention that the Minister of Education, Hon Agnes Nyalonje, will be launching our updated Schools Partnership Guide today, which has been over a year's worth of work. So this is a really exciting occasion to bring you all into. So basically, Zoom is quite a sort of straightforward platform, hopefully, whether you're on PC or mobile. We'll just go through some of the functions very quickly to make sure that everyone's comfortable. So we ask everyone to be on mute unless you are speaking during this event. It's nice if you want to have your video off and we can see you, but it's absolutely no pressure. And we know that there are pressures on internet data and signal and things like that. So no pressure at all. We have a chat function. There's a chat box at the bottom of your phone screen or your PC screen. Do click on that. There'll be plenty of information there. If you'd like to introduce yourself and who you work for or what you're interested in and any details, providing that you're over 18 years of age, please do that in the chat function. And this event is being recorded, so please do be aware of that, and it will be put up on YouTube after the event. Okay, so that's a lot of the Zoom functions. So I'm very, very happy to be a co-host, as mentioned, as this event, because it's a collaborative event between myself at the Scotland Malawi Partnership as the Youth in Schools Officer. I should have said my name is Luisa Brown. And my co-hosts today are Ruth, who you met very briefly at the beginning, Ruth Maluwa. Ruth, do we have you back? And can we have a little hello if you're there?
Hello, everyone. I'm back. I'm welcome here now. I'm Ruth Maluwa, all the way from the southern region in Malawi.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Ruth. And also to Mtameni, who will be co-hosting with us today as well.
Hi, everyone. This is Mtameni Kachusa. I'm the Northern Region Coordinator for Malawi Scotland Partnership. Nice to be here.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. The three of us have been working in very, very close partnership for the last year and a half, developing all the new things that you're going to see launched today. So I think without further ado, we will move on. We've got quite a packed agenda today, so we've got quite tight time slots. So we've given around 5 minutes to each speaker, minus some of our key speakers, which you can obviously speak for as long as you would need to get your points across. So we'll move straight forward. Today's event is a really special occasion. As I mentioned, it's over a year and a half's worth of work. I think that was the initial time myself, Ruth and Mtameni, who you just met, started talking about the need for an updated Youth in Schools Partnership practical guide. And this has been something that's been one of the paramount things that's been on our minds for quite a long time. And there's a plethora of reasons we felt that this was really needed. Obviously, the pandemic has changed our way of thinking and our ways of working, especially in Scotland, but it's also been quite apparent that this has affected Malawi greatly as well. And how do we stay interconnected in this kind of new realm, this new digital realm that we find ourselves in? So COVID has really allowed us this time to reflect on the work that we do, and it's given us the time to listen, the time to reflect and listen and really develop everything for the better. So we've seen this as a real opportunity, a real sort of time for listening. And right now what's happening is we're releasing the products of the last sort of year and a half of listening very closely and working close partnership between us. So the guide that we're about to launch is informed by MaSP's visits to 17 schools across the whole of Malawi that happened just this January. So a lot of the information is incredibly up to date, and it's relevant for schools that have already been through a couple of years of the pandemic. So it's straight from the mouths of many urban and rural schools in Malawi, not to mention countless Scottish teachers that have inputted to this guide as well. One of the key things that we decide is really important about this guide is that it's adaptable. If there's anything that the last few years have shown us about society and global society, is the need to be open, reflective and adaptable. And this is exactly what the School Partnership Guide aims to be now, so that we don't create new editions every sort of couple of years. So this is an editable online document. I'll give you a little sort of tour around it quite soon. But it's basically divided up into sections and is basically built on your voice. It is very much not a guide for us to tell you what to do. It is a collation of information and very, very current and relevant material for you to make your own decisions around. So a lot of it's been informed by, as I mentioned, lots of Scottish and Malawian teachers. There have been Scottish Government reports on international school partnerships by Irma Arts, that we link to throughout the guide, and that has heavily informed it. Also through the Scottish Government's report done by Steka Skills in dialogue groups and working in equal dialogue. Not to mention Malawi's vision for 2063. This is obviously heavily influenced it as well. So very much we are not directing your work, we are collating this information and sharing it out and doing our best to keep it as up to date as possible. And the fact that it is editable will mean that we can forever keep developing this with your own stories, images, quotes, ideas. You can email us at the SMP or Ruth and Mtameni at MaSP anytime that you want to share something about your partnership or inform part of it, part of the guide that you see today. So you're very welcome to do that. And all of this is quite a big precursor to our youth festival that would usually be happening about this time of year. And we decided to do collaboratively as well with MaSP, but we're moving this back to the autumn to have best chance to be able to meet in person. So I'll give you just a little preview of the guides so far. I'm going to share my screen and give you a little preview of how you can navigate this on the Scotland Malawi Partnership webpage as it currently stands. So this is now live. So you're very welcome. I think a colleague of mine is able to paste a link to this in the chat. So we have the Practical Guide to School Partnerships. And if I scroll down here, there are 6 key sections. And we cover the basics, getting started, getting it right, practicalities, visits, and key points to take away. And within each section, we've tried to make it as navigatable as possible. So I won't go into it too far here, but I just want to demonstrate that it's really nice and visual and it'd be easy to navigate. And all the subsections within this have really quick drop downs and zoom you about the page so you can get the information that you need. Okay, so one of the things that I will show you is that we have 14 key points to take away, which are some of the most important points of this partnership guide. And again, I won't go through them all, but there is quite a few things that we would like to really focus on and achieve with this guide. And critical thinking is the number one. We really want to have people thinking more about global inequalities and social justice and achieve this through school partnerships, especially kind of making that unintended negative consequences less common in school partnerships through mutual understanding and honest dialogue. And we think that if you follow our partnership principles, we'll absolutely reach that much more easily, and our new guide absolutely focuses on them. We focus a lot on digital technologies and how to make the most of this, and also a real strong recommendation that international travel is a reciprocal opportunity and doing whatever we can to make sure that both sides have equal opportunity there. We also want to make sure that we have appropriate learning and familiarization with critical thinking, and that leads into how images and video are used. Some of you will be aware of the work of No White Saviours and Radiate, and both of these organisations feed into our partnership guide too. So critical dialogue and a two-way educational partnership are two of the key features about what we recommend as well. We want to engage teachers and learners across both of all of the schools, and keep reviewing your partnership annually, we recommend, because the world is ever changing and ever adapting to new circumstances as it is. And a very last and important point, do become a member of both of our networks. If you're in Scotland, join this Scotland and Malawi Partnership, that's the SMP. And if you're in Malawi, we'd like you to join the MaSP network, which is the Malawi Scotland Partnership. And if you're in Malawi, you might be wondering if, you know, the internet might not support you to access such a partnership, and you can simply go to get the printer-friendly version down at the bottom here. And that will lead you to a text version that's very easily printable of the whole guide. Okay, I'll stop sharing here. And I think what we'll do is I will pass over to my colleague from SMP, David Hope-Jones, to introduce our next guest speaker.
Fantastic, thank you very much, Louisa. Good afternoon, Scots, good evening. Friends in Malawi. I'm David Hope-Jones, Chief Executive of the Scotland Malawi Partnership, and really excited to be here today. I suppose the only thing that I would add to Louisa's brilliant introduction to the new partnership guide, which we're all very excited about, is literally earlier on today, the UK Parliament's All-Party Parliamentary Group for Africa, that's the largest all-party parliamentary group in the UK Parliament down in Westminster, London, released a report looking at education in the UK, and it really called for more education about Africa and a lot of the things that we're there in our guide launching today. So I think it's really relevant, it's very important, and I think, as Louisa says, it's all the better for having come itself out of partnership working with Malawi. But it's my really great honour to introduce our next and our keynote speaker. It is Honourable Agnes Nyalonje, the Minister of Education, who has not only been kind enough to make time to join us today to formally launch the guide herself, but has also written the foreword to the guide. We don't take that for granted. I know the Minister is juggling various different commitments, as she, of course, always is in Parliament today. The Honourable Minister is a great friend of Scotland, as I'm sure she will say. She's lived and even worked in the very building in the heart of Edinburgh where the Scotland Malawi Partnership is based, and it was an absolute delight to welcome the Honourable Minister, along with His Excellency the President, the First Lady, and two other Cabinet Ministers to Scotland in November of last year during COP26. So without any further delay, it's my great delight to introduce the Minister of Education, Honourable Nyalonje. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you very much, David, for those kind compliments. Members of the Scotland Malawi Partnership and the Malawi Scotland Partnership, all Malawi Ministry of Education officials present in this meeting, all other distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon in Scotland and good evening in Malawi. I would like to start by congratulating Scotland Malawi Partnership, SMP, and the Malawi Scotland Partnership, MaSP, teams for being proactive and responsive in updating the Youth and Schools Partnership Guide. To all members and partners who contributed to the updated guide, including youth and school clubs, teachers and volunteers, I say well done. You deserve a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, this work, as we've heard in that introductory remarks about the guide, demonstrates the high level of commitment that SMP and the MaSP have towards ensuring that nothing stops the youth and schools from serving as the centers for productive cultural exchange, ethical human development, and strengthening of historical ties between our two countries. This level of collaboration between Scotland and Malawi Partnership, SMP network in Scotland, and the Malawi Scotland Partnership Network, MaSP in Malawi, is commendable for being both productive and progressive in that it has seen many of our youth and schools benefit through exchange events over the past 150 years. I don't think you can find similar examples of such a partnership anywhere in the world. My great excitement particularly stems from the fact that this partnership has maintained education at its heart over the 15 decades. Reading through the updated guide, I see potential for improved understanding of global concepts, personal development that are useful to society. For example, there's likely to be an improved understanding of youth work, which may lead to a youth that is more engaged in education, positive living, coexistence, and active engagement in socioeconomic and national development. This is important, ladies and gentlemen, because, as emphasized by one of the great African leaders in the person of Nelson Mandela, education is a great equalizer. And you do not equalize if you do not engage the youth to appreciate that as human beings, they all share equal human rights. This is perhaps why, ladies and gentlemen, we continue to enjoy mutual respect and peer learning that is flourishing in this time-tested partnership between our two lovely nations. Let us harness this into perpetuity. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to also acknowledge the drive for sustained friendship exhibited in the quick move to update the Youth and Schools Partnership Guide to include ways and means of circumventing the challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic and climate change, among other things. This includes harnessing digital means of ensuring continued communication to complement physical exchanges that will remain important to the strengthening of our cherished partnership and deepening our understanding of each other for improved friendship. In addition, I'm also pleased that this updated guide harnesses innovative thinking to exploit greener approaches to collaboration amidst climate change, practical support on how to digitally connect schools, and such strategies will go a long way to keep our two nations meaningfully engaged as we both pursue our more scalable and environmentally sustainable ways of business and life. This day, ladies and gentlemen, also brings to me precious memories of Edinburgh, Scotland, where I participated in bilateral relationships and actively engaged in both the MaSP and SMP while working and living in Edinburgh and also in Glasgow, as David has shared earlier on. My family fondly remembers the memories of Scotland, and indeed my 3 children still live in Scotland, 2 in Edinburgh and 1 in Glasgow, a very lovely country. One reminiscent key attribute that is unforgettable is the values-driven nature of this network and how this is celebrated while supporting and developing civic partnerships underpinned by mutual respect, human solidarity, and dignity. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, reading through this updated guide, one sees clearly that Scotland, despite being a donor, views Malawi as a dear friend and equal partner. It is heartening, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, to note that this updated guide is informed by experiences from visits to Malawian schools, as we heard in the beginning, and sample districts across Malawi, and lessons from cultural discourse. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to convey my gratitude to the SMP and MaSP for presenting the youth groups and schools forum with an updated guide that has a strong focus on continued learning, critical thinking, empathy, inclusivity, and mutual understanding, all values that are key to effective partnership. This is what our youth and learners desperately need for proper development into ethical individuals that are a prerequisite for positive development, built on a solid foundation of shared core human values, rather. With this, our two countries can be assured of a future, a bright future of continued coexistence and prosperous peace. I'm happy that this groups and schools partnership guide fortifies our contemporary linkages built on a rich past of civic cooperation between churches, education institutions, hospitals or health institutions, and communities. Ladies and gentlemen, with the continued financial and in-kind support from the MaSP, SMP, and the Scottish Government, the existing civic-led educational partnerships, well over 200 of them, are likely to grow and impact more of our people in both countries. These education partnerships, ladies and gentlemen, are very important for Malawi, especially at this time when Malawi is making deliberate efforts to build its human capital that is needed to propel the country into its Malawi 2063 vision of an inclusively wealthy and self-reliant upper middle income country that we expect to be by 2063. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may be aware, the government of Malawi has a new long-term national development strategy, which we have called the Malawi 2063, and we have in the recent months also developed our first 10-year plan to implement that long-term development strategy, and that is from 2021 to 2030. It is worth noting that we have aligned our 10-year national education sector investment plan with this 10-year implementation plan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's also noteworthy that both our education sector plans and national development strategies offer pathways for meaningful participation of youth who constitute the majority of our population in Malawi. These strategic documents present several key intervention areas of focus, 9 of which I highlight below as they directly relate to the goals and scope of both SMP and MaSP. Ladies and gentlemen, let me now highlight the 9 intervention areas that we hope will be of interest to all the groups participating in this wonderful partnership between our two nations. Number 1, in a bid to harness demographic dividends from this country, my ministry will endeavor to give every child at least 12 years of schooling. This means that every child must at least complete both primary and secondary education. And those of us listening in this meeting will know that this is a very big challenge for Malawi. Number 2, to achieve the above goal, the government of Malawi will now implement compulsory basic education. We will also be legislating compulsory secondary education. Number 3, we continue to expand learning spaces for our children by constructing more school infrastructure, especially classrooms, and expanding digitalization of education. Those familiar with the education sector in Malawi will know that we are far short of the classrooms we need, both in primary school and secondary schools, and we're way short of teachers' houses that we need in order for us to assure quality education by ensuring that each school is able to attract and retain teachers. Number 4, to that effect, my ministry is developing a strategy that is to the effect of digitalizing education. My ministry is developing a strategy for expansion of open secondary schooling, digitalizing the entire secondary school curriculum, and promoting expansion of e-learning in tertiary education. Soon, the country will see establishment of a ministry-owned education broadcasting station. These efforts will ensure continuity of learning even during disasters such as the recent tropical storm Anna, which hit Malawi very hard, and the COVID-19 pandemic, which forced us to close schools for a very long time, a thing that we're still trying to recover from here in Malawi. Number 5, my ministry is also working to promote universal access to digital skills by expanding ICT and computer studies to all schools and including an ICT module in our growing continuous professional development program for teachers. Number 6, ladies and gentlemen, digitalization of education also includes exploration of the use of virtual and augmented reality technology for science teaching and learning, and promoting education technology hubs around the country. This is one of the areas that the SMP and MaSP could support by facilitating collaboration between education and industry players in Scotland and Malawi. Furthermore, number 7, in response to the dynamism of our youth, the need to equip them better for current and future jobs, as spelled out in our Malawi 2063, including self-employment, my ministry has embarked on re-engineering of the curriculum. In this regard, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted that Scotland Malawi Youth and Schools Partnership Guide can be embedded in this and support the curriculum and learning activities, and thus help reframe and reignite learning. In addition, it is also meant to inspire urgency for positive change and develop skills in inquiry and critical thinking on global issues, all of which is very useful as we develop our global citizens. The partnership promotes education for global citizenship with direct benefits for learners, teachers, and schools. All this is in line with our drive for a transformed Malawi school curriculum, and that is in line with developing a new kind of citizen that will power Malawi to 2063, when our vision is to be inclusively wealthy, upper middle income country. Number 8, my ministry is convinced with the significant contribution that school feeding has on school attendance and performance, and is therefore inviting all partners to support our drive to expand this program to all schools. Currently, we're not reaching even 50% of our schools in Malawi, and given the demonstrated efficacy of school nutrition, we believe that this could be a very worthwhile area for support of the partnership as we go forward using the new guide. Finally, number 9, a final intervention, a key intervention that I want to highlight is the provision of relevant teaching and learning materials, especially to learners with special education needs, to ensure a meaningful learning experience. Ladies and gentlemen, I have singled out the interventions above just to highlight some of the potential areas of focus for the SMP and MaSP member groups. You will notice, ladies and gentlemen, that the government of Malawi continues to show its commitment to these and more strategic interventions, including increased budgetary allocation to the education sector. And this year, the budget we just passed a few weeks ago has maintained provision of the largest proportion of the national budget to the education sector, for which we thank our president and government, because that makes sure that we continue to provide the services Malawi needs. For example, we have for the first time distributed science books, which will see each secondary school learner have their own mathematics, biology, physics, and chemistry textbook for the first time in the recent history of Malawi. Now, this may appear everyday fare for those not familiar with the situation in Malawi and maybe indeed in Africa. However, for us, achieving a 1-to-1 textbook ratio, especially in science subjects, is a major development. And I hope that through the partnership, we will get partners that take an interest in supporting us to provide textbooks in other subject areas, such as humanities and arts and languages and so on, because for us to produce well-rounded global citizens, we need them educated, not just in sciences, but across all the other disciplines. And currently, we're struggling to achieve 1-to-1 ratios for textbooks, both in primary school and secondary school. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that support in these areas would go a long way to complement the life-changing experiences among the young people in and out of school in Malawi. It is my hope to see more schools, many more cohorts of new generations of Malawians and Scots building productive and transformative friendships at community and national levels, inspired by this MaSP and SMP network and the Youth and Schools Forum, using the adaptive instruments such as this updated guide that we're launching today. With these notes of few remarks, I happily open the Scotland Malawi Partnership Youth Groups and Schools Forum and officially launch the Youth and Schools Partnership Guide. God bless Scotland, God bless Malawi. Thank you.
Honourable Minister, thank you so much for your fantastic speech and your powerful words of support. If we were meeting it in person, there would be riotous applause at this point, and the one thing Zoom doesn't do so well is applause. But please take it as read that in the length and breadth of Malawi and Scotland, we are applauding loudly. In all seriousness, at the very core of the bilateral relationship is this sense of being led by Malawi's priorities. And Minister, you make that much easier because you, as you have so eloquently in the last 10 minutes, are able to set down a clear vision, a clear purpose, a clear strategy for us to follow. And be in no doubt that our job in Scotland is to listen carefully and act promptly. And that is very much what we will do. We have our guide, we have our new resources, and our priority over the next year will be responding to those 9 areas, whether it is school building, digitization, VR or AR, augmented reality or textbooks, or any of the other excellent points. We will do all we can to step up to those 9 points, Minister. And I look forward to coming back to you with a progress update on what we've done in those areas. But on behalf of everyone at both sides of the partnership, once again, thank you very much, Honourable Minister, for your support. We don't take it for granted. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Luisa, let me pass back to you.
Great. Thank you so much from my perspective as well, Honourable Agnes Nyalonje. It's been a pleasure to have you here and incredibly inspiring to hear your speech. I'll just quote a couple of things of education being a great equaliser. That is absolutely what our guide exists to support. And I'm so glad to hear you agree with this. And I'm fantastically excited to hear about the digitisation of education in Malawi, because I think this will bring opportunities for sharing of curriculums ever closer and ever easier. So that is really something that we can develop going forward. I understand that your time is limited, so please don't feel that you have to stay, Agnes, for the whole of this meeting. It's been a pleasure to have you. And as David says, it would be riotous applause right now if we were here in person. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Allow me to just say that I have shared the speech with David just now. Should it be useful to have it as a reference point, you have it with you. Thank you so much to you and everybody participating in the meeting for giving me this honor to be part of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And for anyone who hasn't read the guide as it's been launched in the last, put online in the last couple of days, Honourable Agnes Nyalonje has also written the foreword to our guide. So that will also complement her speech, which we can send out to everyone too. So moving full steam ahead, we always, as part of our Youth and Schools forums, like to highlight the work that goes on the ground with our teachers and student voices coming direct from Scotland and Malawi. Obviously, sometimes the internet doesn't work perfectly, but we do everything we can to promote the voices of teachers and students on the ground in both countries. So it is my absolute honour to introduce James Peary of Namadzi CDSS and one of his students, I believe. He's a teacher at this school, which is partnered with Penicuik High School in Scotland. So James Peary, do we have you on the call?
Yes, I'm online.
Fantastic. Take it away, James.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I am here to present about the experiences that we have had so far with our friends at Penicuik High School in Scotland. This relationship dates way back from 2016, where we have had 2 reciprocal visits so far. The first one in 2016, involving 2 members from both schools. And the last one has took place in 2018 with 15 students from Penicuik and 2 members of staff. And from Malawi, we had 2 students and 2 members of staff visiting Scotland. So far, the partnership has achieved a number of goals, of which some of them is the renovation that we have had here at Namadzi, the renovation of a school block under partnership, a project which was actually done by Classrooms for Malawi. And then we have also established as a group, as a partnership, we have also established an education blog in order to link the students and staff from both schools to enhance communication, which has to continue, though we are experiencing these particular hiccups with the COVID-19 pandemic. On top of that, we have also a WhatsApp group which links members of staff to share resources which will actually enhance the teaching and learning processes in our various schools. We are trying as much as possible to link departments from our schools so that members from those particular departments can share ideas as well on how to improve their teaching and learning as a whole. The reciprocal visits actually helped us a lot because we had various experiences with our friends who visited, and upon sharing, we have actually learned as well as a group that whatever our friends are doing in Scotland can also be done here in Malawi and improve the learning situation right here. So far, we have set a new partnership agreement with our friends, which is focusing more on skill development and child protection. As we already know, most of our students nowadays are actually feeling a little bit lagging behind in child protection. So we need to empower them. So we have that as a goal now, a new goal that we have set as a partnership. Without considering much on the hiccups that we have for digital consideration, whereby we are not very much accessing chats with our friends, because now we are moving from face-to-face interaction to digital communication, which is appearing to be tough on our part. But we are trying to link up with our friends as much as possible. Here with me is Christopher, one of the students that we have, who has something to share on the learner part as to what have been the experiences so far.
Okay, my name is Christopher Yakobi. As my teacher said, partnership has helped us in a number of ways. For example, we have learned the culture of our friends in terms of dressing, food, and dances. We have also learned skills in art, for example, music composition and production. Through interaction, we have appreciated how Malawi and Scotland are similar in terms of friendliness of their people and the cultural values we share in common. But we also the challenges. First one, we lack constant interaction with our friends as we can no longer be visiting one another due to COVID-19. 2, high internet costs make it difficult to indulge our friends on the digital platforms, for example, WhatsApp or Zoom. We have also a problem of lack of communication devices, which makes it difficult to communicate with our friends. Thank you. This is I have.
Thank you very much. That's the presentation that we have had so far from Namadzi.
Thank you so much to both of you from Namadzi. That was really inspiring, and I know that your partners from Penicuik High School have inputted a lot into this new partnership guide as well. So look out for photos of yourselves together in this partnership guide as well. It's a pleasure to see. So moving swiftly onwards, we are really happy to welcome none other than a member of the Scotland Malawi Partnership Youth Committee, a long-standing member of our youth committee, Ryan Tishione, He's been involved in projects for the last 5 years with our youth committee, and now having been through further studies himself, but having experienced a school partnership back in his heyday at school, he will now speak to us about the long-standing benefits that he's experienced and that he felt the benefits of partnership with Malawi were felt at school. Over to you, Ryan.
Well, there really is like no other way of looking at it. Like, it genuinely changed my life going over there, meeting the people. Before just leaving high school, I wanted to go to university to study science and biology, and just straight away after coming back, I realised that that wasn't what I wanted to do, and I completely switched a career track in education to take up photography, and I'm now just finishing my last project of my degree for that. And like, that just wouldn't have happened without going over there and just seeing the country and the people and the culture. Before going over, you know, we don't get taught much. Like with our school, we've changed sort of with every trip going over. The good thing for me is I've new people who have went before and after, and sort of the changes that have happened as the partnership is developed. So the sort of information we managed to sort of pass on for our trip was, you know, before we went over, we'd done a few Chewa lessons, and that was basically, and then getting over to the country, we realised, you know, we didn't actually know anything about the proper culture or heritage of Malawi, but we managed to, you know, piece it together when we were over there. And it was just sort of, it's those sort of small things that I think, you know, the partnerships really make up for. It's not just you're going on a trip, it's you're actually going there and making friends. And every year that we've went over and went back, we've had people coming up and approaching us to ask how different people from previous trips are doing, and to take messages back, which is just because of, you know, the technology. Back when I was doing the trips over there, it's not like today where schools can actually set up, you know, proper links and communication with each other, which, you know, if we had, would have been absolutely amazing.
Great, thank you so much, Ryan. And it's fantastic to hear that I think you opened your input there saying that it's changed your life completely. And you emphasised that going to Malawi and meeting Malawians has changed the track of your whole career. And you've decided to study photography based on your experience of your school partnership. So that's fantastic. We'll move on if that's okay. We've got one more speaker in this section of the forum. So next we have an organisation speaking. We're very keen that this to encourage and support all the schools partnerships within our membership, but also it's to do with youth groups and foundations and those who work with young people. And we want to make clear that that is something that we support too. So the Mtuli Foundation, a fairly new organisation, and we're very lucky to have Frank Mulwa, Head of Projects at Mtuli Foundation, speaking us today, and I'm sure that he will be able to tell us all about that he has prepared. So Frank, if you can hear us, please take the stage.
Thank you so much, Luisa Brown. I'm sure you can all hear me. Thank you so much for this great privilege to present Mtuli Foundation. It's really an honor. It's a privilege. Thank you so very much, and also for everyone. I really appreciate for all the speakers, and also our Honorable Minister, Agnes Nyalonje, to present her speech. It was really nice. I liked it. Thank you so very much. It's all about Mtuli Foundation. Of course, Mtuli Foundation was founded and registered in 2019 as a youth-led non-profit organization in Karonga district, that's the northern part of Malawi, specifically or precisely in the northwest part of Karonga district. So we were given a certificate in the year 2020, and our operations have been from 20. Operations have been from 2020 in the month of November after getting the clearance from the district executive committee, because for us to operate, we need really to get a go-ahead from the district executive committee, of which the district was very happy with our organization, and then they got to endorse everything. So that's why we were in operation. So Mtuli Foundation organization has a vision, and this vision is all about a society where children grow up happy, healthy, and confident, and the whole population is empowered towards its socio-economic transformation. So this actually reflects on what the Honorable Minister was explaining about Malawi. So we promote sustainable and self-help programs in Karonga Northwest. In Karonga Northwest, with most of our interests focused on the rural population, which we believe to have abundant resources for socio-economic development, because as we have it here, urbanization is increasing at an alarming rate. Therefore, it really pushes young people to flock to different cities here in Malawi. So Mtuli Foundation is one of the organizations that is making sure that youth and young people are trained, equipped with different skills in these rural areas, so that tomorrow they be able to rely on themselves. So it's all about self-reliance. So Mtuli Foundation as an organization, a non-profit organization, is pitched on 5 important areas. And the first one is climate resilience. Climate resilience, so the organization believes that climate change is due to our human actions, hence a need for collaborative efforts to achieve ecological balance. So this ecological balance is what makes us to understand the systems thinking. So the systems thinking in this case is a process whereby different individuals are taking part, especially the young people. And also the second area is sustainable agriculture. We believe that agriculture is climate change, and climate change affects agriculture. So affected agriculture can cause acute hunger. Therefore, there's need for practices that make agriculture sustainable. Of course, sometimes it is not like how people perceive it, but when we go into different localities and communities, especially rural areas, we might think that people have food security, but that is not the case. That is not the case for everyone that has food security for several reasons. All right, so the third one is youth development. Being a majority population, we believe that youth are critical to development, hence a need to prepare them for development and environmental friendly initiatives in their community. As I put it, that the majority of the population is in rural areas, and that's where most of the youth are. So if these youth are not equipped with different skills, that definitely this would imply that many will flock to different cities and leading to urbanization. So here in Malawi, I just like noted what our minister was delivering unto us. We have what we call counter-urbanization. So counter-urbanization is one of the words to curb the acceleration in growth of the population. So that's why Mtuli Foundation is really targeting the young people in the rural communities, equipping them with different innovative skills. And then the other area is early childhood development. Early childhood development. So we also believe in children because this is the focal point of our development. Then the last one is wash or hurt. And also these areas, they interlink. That means they depend on each other. So I just wanted us to look at the current work that Mtuli Foundation is working on. So we're currently working on a food forest gardening at Mbandi site, which is earmarked for education as part of advocating for sustainable farming practices in Karonga. It is currently running. So we have also trained about 13 youths on climate change, and we are currently mobilizing resources for youth projects on climate mitigation and adaptation. So we also participating in COVID-19 response, which includes the donation of resources to support vulnerable rural families in the fight against the pandemic at Impata area, rural community in Karonga Northwest. And a very good example is that we donated an nebulizer machine, which would aid the community, especially to Impata Healthy Center. So now, how can we work together in partnership? We believe that Malawi has lots of resources which can also benefit our Scottish friends. So this is why our interest is to strengthen and harness our relationship for improving Malawian and Scottish community. So we have rich culture and historical sites, beautiful natural features and specialists and resources that once utilized can benefit Malawi and Scotland. We also have unique skills, including in art and hospitality sectors. So we welcome the following support of natural benefits, in-kind support such as online publications and helping with expertise to set up effective youth-led practicum and developmental projects in undeserved communities. We also welcome the partnership and partner with us in youth innovation, Asia renewable energy technologies. This will help you as a partner to practice the knowledge further and discover other efficient systems. We also welcome the volunteering to create a Mtuli Foundation community in Scotland as a way of strengthening the relationship further in development and cultural preservation. So now let's talk now on this. We appreciate the relationship that has been there between Malawi and Scotland as youth. Let's strengthen this relationship further. That's we as an organization. So we've got to strengthen this as partners. So you're welcome to Malawi even when you're a student willing to explore or practice your knowledge in Malawi. So let's create a viable community of Scottish Malawi together. And this is to let you know that Mtuli Foundation is ready and available for work. Once you are convinced and would like to discuss further, reach out to us through the Scotland Malawi Partnership. We are also on Twitter as well as Facebook for updates. We also got the contact number if you'd like to know more about the Mtuli Foundation. There is the contact number or our works on Twitter, Facebook, as well as the website. Thank you so very much for your attention to listen to the presentation about Mtuli Foundation and what Mtuli Foundation is doing and what is really up to do. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Frank. A really inspiring presentation, and wonder to have the Mtuli Foundation come along today. It's been fantastic to be able to showcase youth groups and foundations as well alongside schools, and sort of how we're expanding out partnerships So that was great. Contact SMP or MaSP if you would like to connect with Mtuli Foundation, and I'm sure Frank will post all contact details in the chat just now if you didn't catch it from the screen. So without further ado, I'll move on to the breakout sessions we have next, which my lovely colleague from MaSP, Mtameni, will be running.
All right, thank you so much, Louisa, and great start so far. That was a very great presentation from Mtuli Foundation and Namadzi Secondary School as well. I think it's been very exciting and inspiring to hear all that is happening with the partnerships and as well as the youth. So up next is the breakout sessions. And in the breakout sessions, we're going to be talking about some of the common challenges that we face in the school partnerships. And we'll also be talking about how we ensure that we do not reinforce stereotypes in our school partnerships. So if you're using a computer, down there, you must see an option to join breakout rooms. You might either join a breakout room that is talking about the school, some of the, how we can ensure that we do not reinforce stereotypes and some of the challenges that, the common challenges that we face in school. The first breakout room with the common challenges in school partnerships will be facilitated by Ruth. And the one on stereotypes will be facilitated by me. So let's meet in the breakout rooms. Let's join them as fast as possible, conserve time.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. So in this group, we're going to talk about the common challenges that are faced in school partnerships. This could be anything. So I'll just give an example of some of the challenges, like communication, where network are always an issue and it's a barrier, and sometimes partners fail to communicate with each other because sometimes the network is just a problem in general. Some places, especially on the Malawi side, it's very difficult to reach anyone. So we just want to have an open discussion so we know what the challenges are out there, and maybe we can work towards how we can try to improve around the challenges. I'll just leave the floor open, and if anyone is willing to start and give their views what they think the common challenges are, they can just unmute themselves or raise their hand, and we can start the discussion. Go ahead, Ian. I can see you. Yeah.
Really, Bonji. I see Clemens is on here. Clemens Gombeza is one of our good friends from Mapanga Primary School, and one of the issues we do have is communication. Mapanga has no electricity. You know, the primary school itself has no electrical energy, and it'd be great to communicate through email or to be able to pass, curricular materials backwards and forwards, but it all has to be done through WhatsApp, and it's then done through contacting individuals. Like Clemens and the other school, I think with Jolly is the same. So yeah, I would say communications is a fairly substantial issue to try and overcome at a school level.
Thank you, Ian. Hello, Clemens, we can hear you.
Actually, first of all, I should have to have a thanksgiving to this particular partnership between our school, Mapanga Primary School in Mulanje, with these particular people from Scotland. As Mitch has already highlighted, we do communicate through WhatsApp or whatsoever. More specifically, the communication is through WhatsApp, where sometimes we can get the parcels that they send to our school. But as how the partnership is going on to our school, it appears that the partnership is going on fairly well, in such a way that sometimes we receive a fund from themselves which assist us to have some sort of infrastructure renovation. And also during that COVID-19, they supported us with some masks. However, we have some challenges. The challenge we see mostly at our school is like a matter of having less funding, of which the moment we ask, it's like they do have some sort of fundraising from their society, that is Scotland in particular, in order for the support. And additionally, it's like a challenge we have to this particular partnership is like a lack of technological support. For example, or for instance, we can talk about the moment you want to have a write-up of something they want in order to communicate with us, of which you were supposed to use even a computer that we can use to communicate through emails, or the moment we have some sort of writing exams at a school level, there is a need for us to have that support. That is, we consider it as a challenge. And additionally, we find that at our school, there is also a need for us to have some sort of like electrification, is that makes us to have some sort of a difficulty to communicate once there is a black off or once there is no electricity where people can charge their gadgets for the communication sake. Hence, it's like a matter of looking a way forward to have this communication or to have this friendship or partnership to be enhanced to maximum. All in all, we thank for their support. They don't leave us anyhow, but those are the few challenges that we can identify. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Clemens, for that comment. And I think especially on the electricity and the resources part, it's quite an issue that I think is now affecting everyone, even us who are in the rural areas, the urban areas. I mean, it's quite a difficulty. I've had to go to a different place just to look for electricity, and it seems like a blackout has followed me on that side. And I can only imagine how difficult it is for a school that completely has no electricity, so they don't have a place where they can go for a backup to access any electricity. So if anyone else has something to say, they can just jump in. Come in, Kenneth.
Hi everyone, I hope we're all doing well. I do know a few people, but it's good to see everyone available, and it was nice to hear from the Minister of Education. Very nice presentation, and then yeah. One thing that I wanted to comment on is the something we're talking about, the challenges of the partnerships between Malawi and Scotland, of which one common thing is to say, we see the partnership, it's easy to see the partnership more like only in funding, whereby we're only expecting maybe one part of the partnership to help the other part, because obviously there are still more things that needs to be done, for example, in schools in Malawi, and where we expect our partners to help us. That I think it can be a problem in terms of if our friends are unable to help us when they don't have the specific things to help us. Does the partnership continue? Is the partnership only relying on that donation that they can give us, or what other ways can we try to bring in that will still strengthen the partnership? Example, there was a mention of share of resources from our like teacher to teacher forums, as I think the other schools did mention about, to say it can be that kind of partnership that they share resources just like that, apart from the other material things that as partner schools they can be able to help each other. And the other thing which can be again a challenge is to say there should be good communication between, for example, it can be head teachers or the one who is in control of like having the conversation with the other partner. Does the school, as in the learners, have a way, or do they have that feeling that they have partners, for example, in Malawi or in Scotland? How do you get them in touch to get involved in that partnership? Is it just a WhatsApp partnership that's happening and then share some challenges and how things are going? How is it that you get students to get involved and learn from that partnership? apart from the times that maybe the partner schools, they can visit each other. But for example, in terms of COVID, how is it that there's been that partnership? How have you like enforced that partnership to make sure that it's still there despite funding, despite not meeting? How do we get the students involved? So that can be a challenge, as well as to say it can be just the partnership between the teachers and teachers, but the students don't feel belonging to the partnership. So it's just something I wanted to share, to say I was once a student at the school and we had our partners in Scotland, but it was just only on notice boards and some other things, but we never felt that belonging to the partnership because there was nothing that was done. Or just taking a video, or maybe sharing any kind of things with our friends in Scotland, but it was most of the times just the teachers, and then they just tell us what our friends have done, but not us maybe getting involved in what's happening. So I think the students, the learners themselves, they should be involved in one way or the other. So yeah.
Oh, thank you, Kenneth. That's quite some challenges there that I've just noted down, especially the one on the student-to-student partnership. I think the partnership guide has a segment where we've highlighted what we think would work best. But the good thing is we're going to keep updating it as we go to see what works best, especially for the students, because in the first place, we want every school to understand that a partnership, the first beneficiary is the student. So I think going forth, we're hoping that things are going to get better and the students will actually feel that belonging. And I'm happy that James PD came in before this breakout session where he also explained that a little while ago, there were some visits where some students were involved and they were also involved in an exchange visit. So I guess that's a good thing. I'm avoid speaking so much because I want to hear everyone's views on what they think or what challenges they've experienced in school partnerships. Is there anyone else who wants to say something on the challenges that they faced and school partnerships?
Okay, well, that was excellent, wasn't it, Ruth? I learned a lot there, actually.
Yeah, it was quite exciting to hear the views from everyone else. And hopefully the partnership guide that we've just recently developed and the one that has just been launched will have some insights and probably has some points that will help us at least to try and work towards these challenges. And as we go along, we can always try to improve what we think is working better, especially now that the world is changing every day. We've already seen that with COVID-19. Everything is changing pretty much anytime.
While we wait for Mtameni, why don't we get started? So the question was to do with stereotypes. How do we make sure that we are not accidentally reinforcing stereotypes? I don't know if anyone wants to go first. Either jump in or put up your hand.
I'm Fulata, and I'm speaking from Mtuli in Switzerland. I'm Malawian. I used to teach at secondary school and then I taught at University of Malawi. I liked the presentation, the last presenter who talked about the fact that Malawi also has a lot to offer to Scotland, because for me, I think the stereotypes that are very dangerous is this understanding that Scotland has money and Malawi is an inactive recipient of that money. And I find that I think every time we are building partnerships like this, it's very important to also invest in raising the awareness about how a partnership can be devoid of such stereotypes. And And I think it's very important because you see, when you are dealing with a country that is labeled as poor, and we heard that from Agnes' presentation about the challenges and all that, it's very easy and when people feel and they have imbibed in the understanding that they are poor and they are helpless and they always look for solutions outside, it's very easy to have a relationship that is not balanced. It's very easy. And very easy also to have people like Malawians who will applaud any initiative by Scotland because they always think in terms of how can I also benefit from this, rather than thinking of what is it that I can bring to the table that can also benefit our Scottish partners. So I think this session is this breakout session is very important.
All right, thank you so much, David. I had a breakdown in my network, just joining in. So yeah, let's keep the conversation going. How can we ensure that we do not reinforce the stereotypes that we have of Malawi and of Scotland in our partnerships? So if you have your views, please unmute and respond to the question.
Hi.
Hello, Angel.
Hello, this is Anne Poya. Can
yes,
you guys
please
hear
go on. Please go on.
Yes, this is Anne Poya, current chair for Malawi Scotland Partnership. I just want to say that indeed for us to have a balanced relation, it is better that we all start by understanding what are our needs, so that those needs are shared by everybody, and then we come up with the activities that we can do, each one of us contributing equally in whatever way we can manage. The contribution financial, but it could be either intellect or any other resource that we can bring to the table. But the issue is that when you're coming up with a program, let us all sit table, discuss together, than having a program developed in either Glasgow or any part of and is now implemented in Malawi without the Malawian team putting in addition to what this program is going to contribute in the lives of many, and how that program is also going to benefit Scotland, because I think all of us must benefit from any program we bring to the table. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much there. Great comments from our board chair, Dr. Anne Poet. Anyone else who can try to step in and comment on some of the ways that we can try to ensure that stereotypes are not reinforced in our partnerships?
Yeah, I'm happy to do so. The report that David Hope Jones referred to, done by the Westminster Parliament, not the Holyrood Parliament, looking into the problems of teaching about Africa in our education system. Not only is it does it show how very far short the British education system is of countering stereotypes, and it shows also that some of our education actually reinforces the stereotypes. I think it's going to be recommended reading for people on this side of the partnership. They really need to familiarize themselves with the territory, the whole territory of how our education system fails to meet the problem of stereotyping. But also, having read that report, I felt it was a pity in a way that they had not referenced some of the things that are being done by the Scotland Malawi Partnership and MaSP as well in partnership, I think there's a lot of good practice there that they could have picked up on. So it's something I think everybody on this side should read. But also, I'm sorry that they didn't perhaps take advantage of some of the experiences that have been generated by the Malawi Scotland Partnership and the Scotland Malawi Partnership. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those remarks, David. And also thank you, David, for the link that has been shared in the chat. If you'd like to know more about what David was saying, you can click on that link and see for yourself in terms of the research that was done on stereotypes. Is there anyone else who would like to chip in before we close breakout rooms?
Yes, this is Peter Nchenga, one of board of directors from Malawi Scotland Partnership, speaking from Toro. I have 2 points to raise. The first point is about the mindset change. The stereotype has been there, and it is there because of the foundation, how our friends from Europe came to Africa. They came to Africa with money, and always when they wanted to win hearts of people, they were giving out money. This is the time when we need to change the mindset of our young ones. Our young ones, they need to understand that apart from asking money from our friends from Scotland, we need to understand that they have their own different problems that differs from us. And as a result of this, it's not always that when we have a partner from Scotland, it means that particular person or that particular institution has money. So we need to change our mindset to understand that money is found and sometimes money is not found, and not all the people have money at the same time. The second thing is that we need also to have an appreciation from our brothers and sisters in Scotland, whatever they benefit from Malawi, they need to say these things out so that people from Scotland can also learn that Scotland having a partnership in Malawi, they benefit something. It cannot be material, it cannot be money, but if I am to remember very well, I am remembering that some students from Scotland, they have learned some cultures from Malawi, which means now people or students in Scotland, they are rich in knowing some elements of another part of the world. So we need to encourage this so that the partnership doesn't develop stereotype as we are now discussing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Nchenga. As you can see, I think there is a notification that these breakout rooms will be closing in 9 seconds. I would like to thank all of you for your contributions.
Welcome back, everyone. So I'm really keen to let you know about some updates from the Scotland Malawi Partnership. Very soon, within the late spring, early summer, we'll be launching 16 new schools resources for Scottish classrooms. And that will be a mixture of lesson plans that directly support the curriculum. And they're designed by our very own Scottish teacher called Sarah Niven, who is very experienced in a school partnership with Malawi. And she's from Gleniffer High School. And so there'll be relevant resources for upper primary and lower secondary, and we've run these past all our Malawian friends to make sure that they are absolutely spot on in tone. And they're basically going to include 9 critical learning discussion lessons, basically catalysed by the recommendations of Scottish Government's review of international school partnerships by Irma Arts and STECA skills reports. And it's basically for all school classes that want to deepen their understanding of Malawi. Some of the key areas that we'll be covering are poverty and power, uses of image and video, and the narratives that we construct about each other's countries. We'll be looking at our shared history between our 2 countries and what do we think about partnership versus charity? What is the difference between those 2 things? And we'll be doing lots more about understanding the white saviour complex and critical dialogue groups as developed by Queen Margaret University and STECA Skills as well. So a lot of the main things, intentions around these resources are absolutely to do no harm and explore unintended and intended consequences. Lots of things around the case for climate justice and understanding Malawi, its language and its culture. And I'll just take a quick moment to tell you about two really exciting new offers we've got between SMP and MaSP in the digital realm again. So I'll quickly just show you through sharing my screen. Again, I'm aware of the clock here. So if I can just locate this on my computer. Basically, when you come to our website and the Scotland Malawi Partnership, and you can also email to MaSP as well and visit their website under Youth and Schools, and hopefully this is catching up slowly for you as I share my screen. Under support, I will show you our two new digital offers. So one we're really excited to announce is that we want to do as much as we can between our two offices to set up live classroom to classroom video links. So this could be teachers to teachers or classes to classes. And we really want to make this work for rural schools as well as urban. We can't promise that we'll be able to make everything happen, but we are really keen in this new digital age to connect schools as much as possible, especially when travel has been reduced. So do get in touch here. You can click on this and you will get a drop down about all the details there. And likewise, you can email my lovely colleagues at MaSP and they will also be able to tell you all about that. And I'll move slowly down to the other one. Also, a climate change discussion workshop from MaSP's very own young climate leaders. We are offering this as a video opportunity to be beamed into your school classrooms to speak directly and have your pupils ask Malawian climate leaders their burning questions about what climate change and climate justice means for Malawi. So there are new products, and I think my colleague Mtameni has managed to rejoin the call. Mtameni, are you there? And can we hear about the MaSP report from your school visits this January?
Hi, everyone. I'm here now. The internet, as usual. So yeah, Craig, could you please share the screen? All right, so I'll be sharing a kind of pictorial of the school visits that we had in January. We managed to visit about 17 schools. This was in the South, Central, and Northern regions of Malawi. I was responsible for visiting 5 schools in the Northern region of Malawi, and my colleague Ruth was responsible for visiting another 5 schools in the Southern region, and my other colleague, Dembo, was also responsible for visiting another 6 schools in the Central region. But then for purposes of this presentation, we're only going to be able to kind of give you a briefing of just 11 schools that we visited in the Northern region of Malawi and in the Southern region of Malawi. Next slide, please. All right, so as I had already said earlier, in the Northern region of Malawi, we were able to visit 6 schools, and these schools were Luinga Secondary School, St. Peter's Primary School, Katawa Primary School, and St. Peter's Primary School, Bandawe Primary School, and Bandawe Girls Secondary School. Please, next slide. So the aims of these visits were to find out if these schools had working partnership committees, and also if there was the kind of mutual and beneficial relationship between the 2 partner schools in the partnership. So we wanted to make sure that, as we had also talked about in the breakout session earlier, especially with stereotypes, that we're not, in these partnerships, there was not that enforcement of these stereotypes whereby the Malawian side would be the one that's looking at the Scottish side as the ones that are sending the money, but then this should be the kind of relationship in which both partners. So the school that I'm going to be talking about here is St. Peter's Secondary School, which was really a model for the school links and the kind of partnership that we at MaSP really strive to instill in this school partnership. This partnership has been there since 2008, and there's never been really any communication challenges. The communication between St. Peter's Secondary School and its partner, St. Matthew's Academy, has been just great. And some of the benefits that St. Peter's Secondary School has been gaining from the partnership is that St. Matthew's Academy has been sponsoring about 30 students. These are some of the financially challenged students that are enrolling at St. Peter's Catholic Secondary School. But as I had already said, this is not just a one-side benefiting kind of situation. St. Peter's Secondary School has also been able to provide a lot of casual learning opportunities for the students at St. Matthew's Academy. There's been exchange visits between the two schools, and both the Malawi side and the Scottish side have been able to benefit a lot from the partnership. Next slide. The next school that we visited in the north was the Malawi Primary School in Kadabe. So at Malawi, we encountered some challenges that were actually one of the reasons that we had this tour. We had noticed that in the school committees, there had been some kind of, some school head teachers do monopolize the school committees. And then when they leave, there's not that kind of continuity that we want with the committees. So what was happening at Malawi Primary School was that the past head teacher had not really handed over the information about the partnership to the current head teacher. So there was kind of like a breakdown in communication between Malawi Primary School and their partners, Alloway and Dartford. So after we noticed this, we were able to talk to our colleagues, the SMP, and so far the communication, to my knowledge, has been going on well. And as you can see, there's a water tank there on your screen. And this project had actually come to a halt because of this lack of communication. But as of now, we are proud to announce that this water tank project has restarted. Please, next slide. And there was also a chicken house project. This chicken house is meant to cater for the students that are doing boarding school at Malawi Primary School. So this project had also gone to a standstill, but then we are so far this project we've been told that is going to be restarted. So we're very happy about that. Next slide, please. So another school that we visited was Katawa Primary School. So at Katawa Primary School, we were very sad to find that there was actually no partnership committee. This used to be a very strong partnership in the years past, especially before COVID. But then ever since COVID, it seemed as if there was some kind of breakdown and they had lost track of communication with their partners. So what we did was that we talked with the head teacher, and currently they're in the process of selecting a new partnership committee. And we reached out to the SMP to also have them contact Livingstonia Primary School and make sure that there is reconnection of that communication and that they're able to communicate once again. Next slide, please. So with St. Peter's Primary School, that was also another case of broken communication due to COVID and also due to being told to be mindful of the time. So yeah, there was, they had lost track of their partners, and we had also talked to the SMP to make sure that St. Peter's Primary School also has gets to their partners once again. So right now we're just waiting for that to happen. Next slide, please. Yeah, so St. Peter's, Luinga Secondary School is currently looking for a partnership, and we're currently in communication with Luisa to actually get a suitable partner for Luinga Secondary School that is of the same profile. So at this moment, I'm going to give the baton to my colleague, Ruth, to talk about the school poor in the South. Thank you so much.
Just to quickly go through the schools that we went to in the South, we visited quite a similar of 5 schools, but the challenges were quite similar. That Mtameni said that some of the schools that we visited, there was no proper handovers of the partnership when transfers were made. And we also had model partnerships where everything is going on fine, communication is great. They use different platforms like Facebook, blogging, and emails, which is the cheapest form of, it ranges from school to school of what best suits a school. So in the interest of time, I do not want to go through all the details, but we'll make sure to make the report available to everyone else. It already has all the details that are necessary in the report. And after that, we're going to jump in and continue to introduce the next speaker. Our next speaker is David Nkhonjera from the Synod of Livingstonia Education Department. He's quite experienced in school partnerships and has worked with quite a number of schools, both in the northern part of Malawi. And he's going to share with us his experiences with these school partnerships and what benefits exactly and the impacts of what the school partnerships bring towards the schools themselves as well as the students. Over to you, David.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction. However, I need to make a correction. Not with the Synod of Livingstonia. However, with Chesney Trust. It's a Scottish-based organization, and but I read the education strand in the northern cluster. So my apologies, I lost track of time, but I'll be very brief. I'm looking at the report or the speech that has been presented by the Honorable Minister has, however, highlighted most of the things that I indicated as being challenges. This afternoon, I had a chat with some colleagues, and we conclusively indicated that there's so many challenges that the education sector is facing in Malawi, and also precisely members who affiliate to MaSP and the challenges they're facing in their respective institutions. And I must say that those are amongst the key points that the minister, the Honorable Minister, has been able to highlight. And also in the interest of time, I may not necessarily go much into the details, but there were things to do with our curriculum development that members of MaSP feel that our curriculum development has to be etiquette. It has to mainstream issues to do with technology, issues to do with entrepreneurship. I think we need to create a generation that is more of entrepreneurship kind of, that a generation that can be employers and not just wanting to be employed. So the feeling by the members is that perhaps the curriculum has to have these components deliberately put in place so that the issue of job scarcity has been addressed, and a number of things in the process. But also, I noted from the speech by the Honorable Minister that the government of Malawi is looking into to develop the infrastructure. I think it's high time that the infrastructure has to really be attended to, because it's sad to find that some students this time around, they would be raining under a tree, for instance, or not even shelter at all. And during the rainy season, it becomes a difficult thing. And also, in the same share, I wanted also to highlight that sometimes engaging contractors with big names has proven to be overly expensive. Being in the education sector for quite some time, we have managed, and we're still putting up structures at raw, affordable cost, but also to making sure that we maintain the standards without compromising a bit. And an example would be Classrooms for Malawi. This is also an organization that is into building classrooms for Malawian schools. And they have put up so many schools, and we've also benefited from them. But surprisingly, they've been able to do this at a low cost. So perhaps maybe the government can also take a different shift, a different take, to ensure that the little resources or the available resources are adequately or are used in the best interest of a Malawian child. And also, last but not least, we also looked at the issues of registrations. I think it's becoming, it is one of the challenges that members that are in the education sector are facing. The process to register an institution, a school, is rigorous in a way. And that has to be looked into, because the understanding of the member organization and the MaSP is that they're complementing government efforts, some of them. And also the government of Malawi should look into it, that the registration process is easy for everyone to work on. And also we looked at issues of deliberately making efforts to promote education, particularly with the girls. We understand that girls in the education sector are considered to be vulnerable, and perhaps it is a high time that something has to be done to ensure that girl education is promoted at all costs. And this is where now the members under the MaSP who are in the education sector are advocating for, that perhaps we need to move towards that direction. Just got a note that I'm out of time. Thank you so much for your listening from the speech. But all in all, there could be so many problems that the education sector is facing, which we cannot be able to exhaust in this platform. Thank you so much. Over to you, the facilitator.
Thank you so much, David. It's very interesting to hear from you. If you have any way to link to your work or any reports or documents that you have, please do share them in the chat, because I know there was unfortunately not enough time to go into detail today, but I'm fascinated to hear everything about what you're saying in great detail. So please do share what you can with everyone that's here just now. I'll pass over to Linda from MaSP, who I believe is going to give some closing remarks. And after the end of this session, I just want to flag that you're very welcome to stay on the call, because we are really keen to hear opinions on our new partnership guide and what you hope it includes and what it will mean for your partnerships, and ideas for how you would even like to develop it yourself or what you might add to it. And that's the same for our school resources as well, if you'd be interested to input in what you would hope from them. They're the school resources for Scottish classrooms and what we say about Malawi to Scottish school children. So I'll pass over to Linda just now to wrap up this event. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Louisa. I'm Linda Dembo. I'm the programs manager for Malawi Scotland Partnership. It's really been a wonderful time, and I'm really excited that I made the choice to be here. And all the speakers that spoke, really thank you so much for being with us. And I would also want to give the greatest thanks to our Honorable Minister, Honorable Agnes Nyalonje, for launching the school partnership, Youth and School Partnership Guide. We really thank you, and also for the views from the teachers and the students on the partnership and ways on how we can improve the partnership, and also ways where we can challenge and actually look into ways that can improve the partnership between our two countries. We're really excited, and also thanks to, as I've seen the board chair for SMP, Professor Heather Cube. I also saw our board chair, Dr. Annie Poya, who was also with us on this call. I've seen also our board members who were also here. Really appreciate your presence here as well as your contributions. I've seen a lot of interaction in the chat box. Please continue with the interactions that have been useful connections in the chat box. And also really thank you to everyone who was able to join us. I saw that we were over 60 participants at the first. Of course, some of them have dropped off in the course, but really thank you for each one who is still with us on this call. And lastly, I want to just ask that everybody who could give their feedback. There's going to be 2 questions that will be shown on the screen, and also more information that's in the chat box. Please make sure to give us your feedback. And as Luisa has already said, the Youth and Schools Partnership Guide is on the SMP website. Please have time to look at it and contribute, put your comments, use it. It is our document. We have all contributed to it. Let's own it and let's improve it, as she also has called that we need to always review and check what is contained in it, if it's relevant and it's still relevant. And also thanks that this is also the changing era where we are learning to improve on our digital use. So this has been one of those that we have also tried to use the technology to see how it is to as we transact or transitioning from the face-to-face meetings now to digital meetings, and how we can improve on these digital meetings so that we can actually capitalize, or we can actually have a better feel of it and get the best of both worlds, of the face-to-face as well as the digital meetings. So really thankful to everyone who was able to join with us. Have a blessed evening, and let's continue to chat as also was said. Thank you.
Thank you for the great meeting. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Fantastic meeting. As we said, if anyone wants to stick around and share their views, we'll just in about 30 seconds get started on that. Entirely up to you. Informal sharing there if anyone wants to.
Thank you very much. I wish you all the best. This was great.
And everyone, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being in the meeting.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentations.
It was such an honor to be in the meeting. Have a blessed evening all. I also have to land to another meeting. Thank you so much for an extension of the invitation to remain behind. All the best.
It's great to have you with us, Davey. Thank you very much. Very much indeed. So friends, I appreciate probably most people are shooting off, but as we often do with events, we want to have this space if anyone feels that they wanted to contribute and didn't have a chance in the formal meeting. So really just open space. If anyone has anything that they'd like to share on the meeting or any of the resources, please just jump in now and share your views. Open space. Go ahead, Luisa Keller.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a really nice meeting, and I was with my students actually. They were also here, and I think they really appreciate. We haven't had a partner at the school, and that is a new committee, and we didn't even actually get the previous minutes or any other reports on what was actually happening. So this has really been an eye-opener, and I think the students have really appreciated, and think they will really be looking forward, just as I am, to getting a partner soon because we actually don't have one. But it's really been great.
Thank you very much for that feedback, and great that your students are there. Please just jump in if anyone else wants to share any thoughts.
Hi everyone, it's Kenneth Mundi here. Yeah, it's been an honor to be part of the meeting and to be able to listen to different people speaking, especially the Honorable Minister of Education. One thing that I wanted to comment on is what Dave said when we were like at the breakup groups, which is the challenge that's there, for example, in Malawi for the youth or just newly graduates who they've been in the university and then they graduated, but what they're really looking forward is to maybe get hired, find a job, find employers and to do something, but there isn't that enough opportunity for them to get what they want, to get the jobs and all this and that. So it's just a comment to say in the curriculums or in our schools, or it can be through other different initiatives that other organizations or individuals can bring in to say there should be a way that the youth should be trained to be able to start something of their own, or that it should be included in the curriculum to say there should be a way that we're able to teach or extend that knowledge for them to be able to start something of their own, or to be able to be independent, not always waiting for someone to hire us. And at the same time, not everyone can be able to make it to university, which is a huge problem as well in Malawi, because the government does not have enough universities to accommodate everyone with the high number of the youth that are in Malawi at the moment. So that's something that it should be taught, maybe in secondary schools, even from grassroots level, to say the youth, they should be able to depend on themselves, to be able to start something, not only to expect to be hired, which it is very unlikely with the situation at the moment, and then even with the calm of COVID, which has been a big issue because a lot of people lost their jobs, not just in Malawi, even in Scotland. But if people are not able, if the youth are not able to sit down and think by themselves to start something small, to start something, because I know and I understand that we are all able and the youth are able to do all that, but we do not have that courage. So if possible, the organizations, they should take it to say, we should have this other part of that we can teach the youth to be independent. It's not always as well to have a lot of money to start a business or to start something, but it's about having a plan to be able to initiate something. So just something I wanted to comment on, and if anything else, I'll come back later. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to share.
Thanks so much, Ken. And firstly, great to see you. Ken's a great friend of the Scotland Malawi Partnership. Great to see you. It's been a while, but no, fantastic points about how do we use these educational links in the bilateral relationship to step up to that challenge, as Ken has so clearly articulated, that issue of youth unemployment in Malawi, both by building employability skills in the secondary education links, but also, exactly as you said, the confidence, the autonomy, the vision and the drive amongst school leavers to be able to make their own future. I think that's great points, and certainly something we would want to take forwards. Thank you, Ken. Open space, you can put up a hand or just jump in if you would like to feed in, either extend from Ken's point or a new point. Please go ahead, Fiskani.
Yes, I'd just like to thank you because it's the first time I'm having a partnership, being in a partnership. I'm a student at Luisa Secondary School, and I'd just like to hear from you again because it's something really special and It's the first time, to be honest. I was just called by my teacher to join you. I'm a student. So I would just like you to support our school in terms of textbooks and if possible, some scholarships for our students, because we have like students who don't have like access to information and internet and the like. For instance, myself, I found it really difficult to be able to come to this meeting to join you guys. So I would like you to help us in that way and the like. So it's just a thank you coming from me, and it's an honor. It's a good privilege, and I'm really privileged to join you guys in this partnership. So I'd just like to say thank you.
Well, Fiscani, no, thank you. Thanks for being here, and thanks for contributing, and thanks for articulating there, you know, what those needs are as you see them on the ground, the textbooks and the need for scholarships. So absolutely, we hear you loud and clear, and thank you. Any other views that people want to share? You can put up your hand or just jump in, please. James Perry.
Yes, I would like to thank you, the group, for this particular meeting that we had. We have learned quite a lot from this gathering, because we have also tackled the issues of stereotyping, which is very important topic in as far as partnerships are concerned. So I would really like to thank the organizing committee for considering including this particular topic in the discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James, and you know, very kind and nice feedback. It's we're not fishing for positive feedback. Very grateful for it, but please do you know, give us ways that we can improve. You know, as Louisa said throughout the meeting, the great thing about the guide being digital is we can update it, you know, in 30 seconds, you know, go on and update any bits. So anything that you see, it's not a finished product. It's not a book that you buy on the shelves that can't be changed. You know, we can change anything, we can improve anything, we can add depth and color as you see appropriate. So as you go away and read it, please just email your thoughts, your ideas, your responses, your feedback. We want it to evolve and improve. Any other thoughts or reflections anyone wants to share?
Okay, just to add on what David said, I think only, yeah. There was this other time when we were in college as well. It's about 10 years ago. On the employability, students coming out of colleges and even secondary schools having employable skills. But at that time, we had a meeting with the invited guys from some of the organizations and companies. And then one of the points that was raised was, when coming up with the curriculum, it was noted that the Minister of Education would just come up with the curriculum without actually involving the companies. So there was a skills gap. It's like the schools were producing students whose skills were not actually in sync with the industry. So the curriculum, improvement on the curriculum, and then really meeting the needs of the market, not only for formal employment, informal entrepreneurship. I think that is a really great point.
Absolutely, Luisa. No, a great point about the curriculum and employability, and in some ways MaSP's in quite a good opportunity to influence. I recognise that the Minister of Labour is a great friend of MaSP, former CEO, and as we heard, the Minister of Education is former director of MaSP as well. So a great opportunity there, I think, for civic society to work with government to look at curriculum and some of those associated issues in the light of, you know, the demography in Malawi, the average age, median age of 17, and those challenges around particularly youth employability. Any final comments from anyone, perhaps that hasn't spoken yet? Fantastic. I can see a hand up from Wandimo. I do apologize for mispronouncing your name.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It's my time, I think. Yeah, there is no interference, so that it's my time, so that I'm from Ethiopia and not Malawi, so that my country's experience is big for Malawians, because our curriculum, I think, when students reach to grade 10, they can join. So that my country's experience is that when students are becoming grade 10, so that they can join technical and vocational schools. So they will have a good opportunity to get their own jobs by their own technical abilities. Yeah, but the rest of the students which are better in education, they will go to universities. So that in my country's experience, grade 10 will be the margin to differentiate those who are earlier to create their own jobs by joining the technical and vocational schools. They can join. So that this is my country's experience. But your discussion and your partnership is attracting me more. This is my first time. I don't know about Ethiopia's partnership with other countries. If you have any information, please let me know and I will join them. But this Malawi and Scotland partnership is very attractive, and really I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Good points, and thanks for the positive feedback, and wonderful to have Ethiopian input in. And if you send us an email, I'll put my email in the chat box. I can certainly reach out to the Ethiopian High Commissioner in Scotland to see if there's any link. I'll put my email in the chat.
Thank you, David. Okay,
Wonderful.
I will put. Thank you.
Maybe one final input, and then I'll ask a question of you, and we'll wind up. If anyone hasn't spoken yet and would like to share their views, and please don't be afraid to be critical or suggesting new areas or things we could do differently. This is all about just listening in an informal way. If we were meeting in person, we'd be standing around having a coffee and a cake together at this point. We can't do that on Zoom, but we can have a wee informal chat at the end. Any final viewpoints that haven't been expressed so far? Well, let me perhaps just ask my final question to you, and it's, I suppose, really to any of the participants in Malawi. Great to hear. You know, we really want these meetings. I mean, today's brilliant meetings. It's in partnership with our friends in MaSP and co-hosted, and we all want it to be as inclusive as possible. And obviously, we've seen some of the challenges as far as connectivity and bandwidth with Malawi, and all credit to our counterparts in Malawi for managing that so smoothly. I thought, but we want to ask about, you know, the costs of participation and the challenges of participation from Malawi. If anyone wants to come back, if anyone wants to jump in from Malawi about that, about how much does it cost you? This is 2 hours now. How much does it cost you in airtime to be able to take part? Is there anything that we can do to make these sort of meetings more inclusive in Malawi? Please jump in if anyone has any responses to those questions. Go ahead.
I can jump in, but unfortunately, I'm not in Malawi at the moment, but I've done one of these meetings whilst I'm in Malawi, and just the whole thing of like airtime. Yeah, it is a bit costly, but I think it just depends as well, first of all, with your income. And sometimes you can have enough airtime, you can have enough data, but then sometimes the signal distribution is not that good. So you'll be like in some other places, even though you have like enough to be able to fund the meeting, but then the signal strength does not maybe support you to be able to have the clear view or to be able to be connected the whole of 2 hours. So sometimes I think it can be about choosing the right place to be when you want to be able to join the meeting. In terms of like how much exactly it can cost, I would say a minimum of like £2 to put that in here, and maybe about 2,500 kwacha in Malawi currency. But as I said, it depends on the income, which as well, I would say it can be important to say for those who cannot be able to fund the meetings, but they're really willing to be able to attend the meetings, if they can be that kind of opportunity to say they open up and then they can be that sort of, that maybe help for those people that they're really willing to join, but they're unable to buy airtime to be able to join. But I'm sure some people can afford and other people can't. But if they can be that kind of an openness to say, for those who are willing to join, they can be that such help, I think it can be great. And it will give an opportunity as well. Which other point I wanted to say is to say, like those other, it can be other meetings, not this one, maybe just to say the teachers or schools that they've got partners in Scotland, and those ones in Scotland that have got partners in Malawi. I like the idea, like the other school, which the teacher had the students there. I just like to say, if there can be other teachers who are able to bring even some of the students just to experience and see how it's done, and see some of the partners and members of Scotland Malawi Partnership in Scotland, even in Malawi, it will be great to bring those people in than just to be a teacher always at the center of the whole partnership. As I said, I think earlier when we had the breakout groups, it feels like it's just the teacher or the head teacher who's got the partners in Scotland, whilst the students or the learners, they don't feel that belonging to that partnership, as it's always the teacher who is in front. But when we bring them together, or we introduce forums that they're able to share some of the ideas or dances, it can be anything, just for them to feel that they've got partners in Scotland or they've got partners in Malawi. I think that will be great, because they know when they participate in the partnership. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
Ken, that's really, really useful, that point around making sure the young people feel ownership and real engagement in these links, and not just teachers. I think that's a really powerful point. And do you know what, right now we can put that right now into the practical guide. It's again, great thing about it being digital, you know, these points around employability, these points around confidence, 24 hours, we'll put them in the guide. So it really is as easy as that. So if there's other things that you think should be in there, we really want to be particularly listening to the Malawian side. Please do. So we're going to draw this to a close now, partly because of the costs at the Malawian side. Oh, sorry, I was going to respond to that. So you were thinking, Ken, about sort of 1,000 kwacha an hour, if you said sort of £2 for participation in this as a 2-hour meeting. Is that sort of ballpark figure?
Yes, I would say that's a minimum, because when you use, for example, 1,000 kwacha to buy airtime, you don't just use it as airtime, because you have to buy data to make it into like 1 GB, and then you're able to talk. So this is just out of my experience from using Airtel network in Malawi, which I think at the moment they've introduced different types of bundle data you can get. So yeah, so I would say a minimum of 1,000 kwacha, depends as well on the network you're using. But I think other people can agree with me, unless someone has got other some information that's different from what I know.
That's really useful. Jump in now if anyone's got any other sense on how much it costs per hour to take part from Malawi, roughly, on data costs. And so I think we'll draw it to a close. Just in case any of my friends and colleagues in MaSP want to say anything before I close the informal part of the meeting. Linda or Stella, I see you're here, or Louisa.
Yeah, maybe just a comment on the data is that for MaSP, we've supported our members with data. Like for this meeting, I think we had sent 3,000 kwacha to each participant who was on this call, and who we had invited specifically to speak and also to take part in this meeting. And it was up to the participant to buy a bundle that will suffice for the meeting. Maybe that was we didn't really estimate on how much time we're going to be on this call. But we hope that that one is going to be like kind of a starter pack, and then they could maybe use a little of their own data as well if they run out of that. And some, maybe that's why some dropped off the line. Maybe they had run out of the airtime. And I just want to also agree with the previous speaker that in Malawi, the main challenge has been that maybe because of the terrain, some places really have very bad networks. Even just, I'm in Lilongwe, even some parts of Lilongwe, you go to another area where you don't really get a good network, and you have to keep changing from one service provider to another, that is like TNM and Airtel, or even if you're using Skyband or any other internet service provider. So that has always been a challenge, and having a meeting like after 5 in Malawi is really a big challenge, because people have to move from one place to another to be able to attend the meeting with good internet facilities. So I think that was that's maybe something that we could consider in future meetings, that the timing should be something that you would allow somebody to go to a place where they can actually attend the meeting and contribute, instead of looking at their watch that it's getting dark and I might not be able to go get back home safely. Yeah.
Absolutely, Linda. No, really good points, and we'll make sure that we act on those. Fantastic. Well, friends, we'll wind it to a close, but just let me once again thanks everyone involved for coming along, for feeding in your views, and particularly to Luisa, to Linda, to Ruth and Mtameni for really organising all of today. Thanks very much, and have a good evening.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.